Welcome to another episode of Out from the Horrorbox. I'm your Mouseketeer host, Dom, and in this episode, we turn our attention to the film franchise that started airing in 1998 on the Disney Channel. These films were inspired by the October holiday Halloween and remains one of the most remembered DCOMs, Halloweentown. The Disney Channel original movies, which are known colloquially as DCOMs, were a huge hit for the Disney Channel from the late 90s to the mid 2010s. In all, there's 115 with a new one to come, DCOMs. However, we're going to focus on the 4 Halloweentown films in this episode. So let's see first how we got to the point where we learned Halloween is cool. So tune in as we take a look at DCOMs.
Let's watch a Disney Channel movie. Let's watch a Disney Channel movie. We're gonna watch a Disney Channel movie. Let's watch a Disney Channel movie. Let's watch a Disney Channel movie.
Many television films have been produced for the Disney Channel, which is an American family-oriented basic cable channel that was originally like a premiere, like kind of like cable, like how you have to pay for HBO. That's how it kind of started off in April of 1983. Disney soon switched over from that, and they made it available through all cable instead of being a premium package channel. They made it more accessible, so they started branching out, and they started making like cartoons for the afternoon. That's where we get like DuckTales and Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles. They started making stuff like that, and then as it progressed from the through the 80s into the 90s, that's when they decided to start making their own films for the channel itself. And until October 1997, films were released under the banner name of Disney Channel Premiere Films. Since then, the films are currently released under the Disney Channel Original Movie DCOM banner. Over the years, there were many concerns because here and there we would get different releases on VHS, DVD, or even Blu-ray of some of these DCOMs, right? We wouldn't get all of them, but we would get things like Princess Protection Program, Halloweentown. I think we got like a Smart House. And it was very rare you would find even some of the more obscure ones, or even ones that people liked that were more popular, but they for some reason hadn't released them. And for a long time we were not able to get those all together like in any kind of meaningful way. And when things switched over to being on Netflix, you could stream things, and Disney made a deal with Netflix for a little time, that they would start bringing their animated features onto the platform, onto Netflix. And that we had that for a while, but we still didn't see any of the DCOMs on there, and it was still kind of hard to find. There were ways of getting it like illegally or like through different means, but it was still difficult to find all of them, especially older ones like Brink or things like that, where it's just really hard to find these ones that are just like older and no one like moved, or they didn't release them on like more like newer formats or even for streaming. But then not too long ago, back I think it was like 2019, we got Disney Plus, and finally we were able to view all the DCOMs in one place. And I think that was one of the like selling points that Disney made about Disney Plus, was like, hey, you can finally watch not just the animated stuff that we have, not just Star Wars, not just Indiana Jones, not just Marvel, which those are all selling points all by themselves, but like if you were really into these and from like the early 2000s and on, then this was a big deal. And for me, yeah, like I love that they brought this back, or they brought all of them onto there, and you're just able to watch them at any time. These things that we had to wait, like when they would release a new one, that would usually be like a big event, right? Like if they had something during the summer, something during Halloween, and then we'd have to wait a whole another year for that to come on, and maybe we could catch it. Some of them, like Don't Look Under the Bed, were very hard to not only find, because I think it might have only been released on like maybe VHS or maybe, I don't even think, DVD, but because of the kind of the backlash, not really backlash, but because a lot of, parents thought it was a little bit dark. So Disney stopped airing it for a while, and then they would air it like very late, later on. And I remember like in like the mid 2000s, maybe like the late 2000s. And then now you can just go and watch it at any time. But yeah, guys, so I didn't even know this, but until I went back and like looked it up, there's over 100 of these DCOMs. I guess back in 2016, they were celebrating their 100th film with Adventures in Babysitting, which is a remake, and they aired most of their older DCOMs for like a marathon block, and I didn't even know that. So that's kind of crazy. And they broadcast all previous 99 DCOMs, and that's just ridiculous for a 4-day weekend back in May of 2016. And then they, it moved right into the premiere of the 100th, but now we've gotten more since then. So this is crazy that they're still going with DCOMs. And I mean, I've kind of seen some of. I mean, I haven't. The only one I really watched was like Girl versus Monster. But beyond that, I really have not been interested in any of the DCOMs. None of them seem like they're made for me anymore. Like I'm good with all the ones I have. Luck of the Irish, Smart House, Halloweentown, Don't Look Under the Bed. I'm good with those ones. But guys, so from there, let's find out how Halloweentown got made. So back in 1986, Stephen White, the former head of NBC's movie and miniseries department back in the 1970s and 80s, he went on to leave the company and establish his own production company, Steve White Entertainment. The Wonderful World of Disney, which had been airing on NBC since '88, that was kind of like a sought-after property that most channels wanted, and ABC wanted to get it back, so they agreed to relinquish. NBC agreed to relinquish the rights to ABC on the condition that Walt Disney Television would produce 6 movies for them in return. So in 1991, Sherry Singer, who was the senior vice president of TV movies for the Disney company, was assigned to collaborate with White on movies to fulfill the contract with NBC. After working together, they began dating, and in 1993, Singer and White married. White shared a comment with Singer from his daughter. "I don't know where to go with this, but my daughter said to me, 'Dad, where do all the creatures from Halloween go the rest of the year when it's not October 31st?'" So he came up with this kind of concept that he pitched for NBC that was part of the movie deal, and the network eventually greenlit the project, and it was tentatively dubbed Halloweentown. With the green light, Singer and White approached screenwriter Paul Birnbaum to write the script. Birnbaum took inspiration from his own life and used the names of his kids, Marnie, Dylan, and Sophie, as the protagonists. The first draft of the film was geared towards an adult demographic, and then in 1994 the script was presented to NBC, and the network decided, we're going to pass on it, we're going to move away from that, and Singer ended up leaving the Walt Disney Company at the end of January 1994. Then comes 1997. Singer and White established Singer White Entertainment and returned to the idea of Halloweentown. So the duo, they went to Disney and they pitched it to specifically the Disney Channel executives, and they initially passed on the project as well. They passed on it too, but then the executives at the network changed their mind after they aired Under Wraps, which is officially the first DCOM, and it was well received. The network returned to Singer and White Entertainment, and the film was redeveloped into more of a children's film. And the one that we get, and there's just like a lot. I can't wait to get into some of the trivia for Halloweentown because it's a little bit crazy. But guys, I'm just going to go through the films, give you some trivia, get into my final thoughts, and that'll kind of be it. There's not really much more to go on about, these films, especially with DCOMs. There's not really much to talk about, and I will talk about other DCOMs in other horror for kids. We'll probably do like a bundle of them. I just wanted to start with Halloweentown because that's the one that's the most famous. So let's get straight into the first film, Halloweentown.
Tonight at 8/7 Central, it's Halloweentown. Marnie Cromwell's family can't be normal.
Why?
Because her grandmother's a witch.
Totally.
And she lives in Halloweentown, where it's Halloween all the time.
Halloween is cool.
Well, battling an evil shadow creature is just not normal.
Oh, being normal is vastly overrated.
Find out more about Marnie Cromwell's family's vastly strange powers.
Powers? What powers?
It's Disney Channel's original movie, Halloweentown. Tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Disney Channel.
Single mother Gwen Piper, played by Judith Hogg, refuses to let her kids, Marnie, Dylan, and Sophie, go out on Halloween. The children are played by Kimberly J. Brown, Joey Zimmerman, and Emily Rosk, respectfully. Gwen's mother, Aggie, played by Demi Reynolds, shows up for her annual Halloween visit. The children are happier to see Aggie than Gwen is, as Aggie openly encourages the children to get more involved in Halloween. Aggie and Gwen are secretly witches, but Gwen is determined to live a normal life as a mortal instead. So despite objections from Gwen, Aggie is intent on training Marnie to be a witch, and before heading home, Aggie reads the children a bedtime story called Halloween about a mystical place where all things like witches, vampires, and monsters live, and that they live away from mortals in peace. Sophie, as Aggie's reading it, points out a drawing of a witch in the book that resembles Marnie. Aggie does nothing to stop Marnie from imagining such a thing as this place called Halloweentown, and after putting the children to bed, Gwen and Aggie get into an argument with Marnie, who snuck out of bed and went downstairs to eavesdrop. Gwen is angry that her mother encourages the children to enjoy Halloween and insists Marnie be raised as a mortal, like her father was, and not a witch, revealing that Marnie is actually a witch just like them two. Aggie doesn't understand why Gwen wants to live without magic and wants to train Marnie before she turns 13, as at that point, if she doesn't get trained, she's going to lose her powers forever. Aggie then asks Gwen for help. Citizens of Halloweentown have been disappearing one by one, and while Gwen doesn't take this seriously and says it's possible that the missing have simply moved, Aggie believes that foul play is involved. So Aggie leaves to return home. Marnie and Dylan covertly follow her. They see Aggie getting into a magic bus and sneak onto it through the back door. They arrive in Halloweentown, and Aggie does not see Marnie and Dylan getting off the bus, and the children lose sight of her. At the same time, Marnie and Dylan realize that Sophie had snuck out and got onto the bus with them too. The three begin looking for Aggie and are approached by the mayor of the town, Kalabar, who's played by Robin Thomas. He gets them a cab driven by Benny, who's a skeleton that tells corny jokes, and he's voiced by Rhino Romano. The children find their grandmother's mansion, and against her better judgment, Aggie decides not to take them back to their home immediately. She says she'll start Marnie's witch training, but has to take care of the bad thing first. She shows her grandchildren what she's talking about. In her cauldron, a vision of a hooded figure appears, laughing maniacally. She says she must activate Merlin's talisman with a spell and potion to defeat the evil creature. After trying and failing to light the talisman with instant potion, Aggie takes the children back to town to shop for the right ingredients. The family is introduced to Luke. He's a goblin who is made handsome by this shadow creature, and he's played by Philip Van Dyke. He makes a clumsy pass at Marnie, which she turns down on the spot. Gwen, who finally noticed that her children are missing, and immediately blames Aggie. She arrived in Halloweentown to retrieve them, much to Marnie's objections. Gwen tells the children to say goodbye to Aggie, then takes them to the bus station, but cannot find another bus back to the mortal world, according to the ticket vendor. So she decides to see if the mayor can do anything to help. She's shocked to see the mayor is Kalabar, who was an ex-boyfriend of hers. After Kalabar briefly leaves to handle another problem, Gwen and her children see Aggie walking somewhere with Luke. Sensing Aggie might be in trouble, they follow Luke and her to an abandoned movie theater. Aggie meets the hooded demon in the theater, where the missing Halloweentown citizens have been frozen, and Aggie declines to give the talisman to the demon. Gwen and the children enter the theater as Luke rushes out in fear. The demon freezes Gwen and Aggie. The children escape and obtain the necessary ingredients: the hair of a werewolf, the sweat of a ghost, and a vampire's fang, to make the potion that will activate the talisman. They then realize that they must place the talisman in the large jack-o'-lantern in the center of town to defeat the demon. And then when they arrive to install it, the demon suddenly appears and reveals himself to be none other than Kalabar, who's bitter that Gwen chose to marry a human instead of him. He starts talking to the townspeople and tries to persuade them to join him to take over the mortal world. With the help of Luke, Marnie slips past Kalabar long enough to climb up onto the jack-o'-lantern and try to place the talisman inside. Kalabar, noticing this, casts a spell to freeze her. But just as she's about to pass out, Marnie drops the talisman into the jack-o'-lantern and causes it to illuminate. This unfreezes her and everyone in the theater as well, and severely weakens Kalabar. The children reunite with their mom and grandmother. Kalabar obtains the talisman and says he will use it to become the ruler of both the mortal and magical world. Dylan is revealed to have magical powers and eventually joins Gwen, Aggie, and his sisters in confronting Kalabar and using their combined powers to defeat him. Luke is restored to his goblin appearance, though Marnie tells him that she likes him either way. Gwen and Aggie decides to train Marnie as a witch, and Aggie decides to stay in the mortal world to spend more time with her grandchildren. And the film ends with them getting on the bus and going back to the mortal world. Alright, so let's get into some trivia for Halloweentown. So St. Helens in Oregon is where the original Halloweentown was filmed, and they welcome tourists. In fact, they have a month-long Spirit of Halloweentown event to celebrate the holiday during October, and they allow people and fans of the movie to explore the town, and they even try to recreate parts of the sets. Obviously, like the jack-o'-lantern in the town square, which was donated to the town, and every year that's what they bring out. And honestly, it's why I'd like to go, just to experience that, but also because I know that the area of St. Helens and Oregon, I know, is kind of a spooky area, so that'd just be kind of cool to go like during this time. It's pretty cool up there, like cold, and especially being here in Arizona, like getting out of this heat is like what you want to do every time of the year. Even during October when you think it would be cooling down, and normally it does, but now it's been getting hotter and hotter. And I mean, it was cooling down for a bit for the last few weeks, but this past week, man, it's been getting hot again, and it's really scaring me that it's getting this hot right now because it should be cooling down. But that's getting off topic. I'd love to just get there one day, and maybe I might try and go next year. And see if anybody might want to go with me. But yeah, that'd be cool to just see like the aesthetic, and you get into that October, that Halloweeny, spooky, that season feeling, and yeah, just be amazing. In the scene where Debbie Reynolds descends from the bus, carrying her from Halloweentown by floating down the sidewalk with an umbrella, which is not unlike Mary Poppins, which Julie Andrews was considered for this role, before Reynolds was cast, which is amazing, which would have been an amazing movie. Like I can just picture not Debbie Reynolds, as Julie Andrews as the grandma, and that would have been it would have been a weird, different timeline if that was the case, because you just know Debbie Reynolds as this character. I mean, I know more people know her from, older people know her from other things, but as a kid from the 90s, like, this is the thing that you know her from. Like, Debbie Reynolds, oh, you mean the grandma from Halloweentown. It's like, yeah. But that would have been weird. That would have been a little, I mean, I bet they probably would have threw in some more references to, like, something, like, maybe have her sing or something, if they would have got Julie Andrews. I think it really would have been a different film, too. Not entirely, I think, going on later. I just think that Debbie Reynolds has more of a fun and fantastic. I'm not saying that Julie Andrews isn't fun or anything, but I feel like she'd be a little bit more, like, sternish, like, coming off more, like, I guess more like the Princess Diaries type of act. That's how I kind of see it, but maybe not. Who knows? Maybe she would have got into it like Debbie Reynolds did. According to Kimberly J. Brown, the flaming hairdryer Marnie accidentally picks up is real, with real flames, and had no special effects that were involved with that. And that's kind of crazy, I think, because, one, she's an underage actress, and why would you have her with a working flamethrower hairdryer, right? 2, like, why would you not have a stunt person to do that? 3, why would it be real with, like, real flames? That's kind of crazy. Honestly, it just goes to show that, sometimes these actors, they're actually working with some real things. And that's something that I was talking to someone at my job about, and I was, like, explaining to them, sure, like, so-and-so may have gotten hurt during, like, filming of this, but, like, some people get into, like, real, like, life or death, like, accidents, like, if she didn't realize how real it was, like, and she turned it on and, like, had it, like, pointing at her face, had it, like, was messing around with it, like, that could have been pretty bad. And that happens on set a lot of times, where something really bad happens and it goes for the worst, but luckily nothing bad happened this time. Kimberly J. Brown confirmed a different ending to the movie. Instead of Marnie putting the talisman in the jack-o'-lantern to save Aggie and Gwen, she had to walk into a forest, and every time she walked deeper into it, her face would slowly age. Kimberly said that she was in the process of having a mold of her face done for a facial prosthetic, and the writers changed the ending. Kimberly got to keep the mold of her face, which she says she still has. And honestly, that might have been, I don't know, because it does kind of wrap up kind of quickly. That would have been a little bit different, because we do see the pumpkin in the town square from the get-go. So I was like, where did she have to take it to? I think the pumpkin was always there in this like alternate scripting, and the place where you had to take the talisman to probably was in this woods, where it's like, oh, it's like the aging woods or something. And like, as you go, you get older and older, and that's why, like, it's hard to, like, go in there and do this. And, like, probably why she was the one to do it, because if her mom or grandmother did it, they probably would have aged to death. I mean, they probably wouldn't have done, like, anything crazy like that, but I think that's kind of where it was kind of hinting at. And honestly, it could have been a little bit darker to do something like that, but I mean, we got what we got, and it's still amazing. So now let us move on to Halloweentown 2, Kalabar's Revenge.
Monday, your favorite witches are back, and so is the wrath of Kalabar.
Someone has to take my place as head of the Cromwell line.
And he sent a new warlock to make trouble in Halloweentown. Can Marnie and the Cromwell witches stop him?
Now he's going to turn the humans into creatures.
That's not normal.
Kimberly J. Brown and Debbie Reynolds return in a Disney Channel original movie.
We are out!
Halloweentown 2, Kalabar's Revenge. Monday at
All right, before I
7
get into it,
Central,
though, I just
only
want to
on Disney
preface
Channel.
that for this and the next movie that we're going to review, Marnie, Aggie, Gwen, Dylan, and Sophie are all played by the same actors, so I'm not going to be going over them again. It's Kimberly J. Brown, Debbie Reynolds, Judith Hogue, Joey Zimmerman, and Emily Rosk, respectfully. Marnie has just spent 2 years with her grandmother Aggie. While hosting a neighborhood Halloween party at their house, Marnie tries to win over a cute new boy, Cal, played by Daniel Coops, by showing him Aggie's magically hidden room with a spell book in it. Soon, Aggie notices unwelcome magical symptoms. She and Marnie travel to Halloweentown to investigate and try and fix the problem before the portal between Halloweentown and the mortal world, which is open only on Halloween night, or Halloween the day, closes at midnight. They discover that the whole town has been turned into a black and white world, and that the inhabitants have been turned into dreary, discolored, monotonous humans. So the victims include Marnie's goblin friend Luke, who again is played by Philip Van Dyke. Aggie diagnoses this as the Gray Spell, and Aggie contacts her grandson Dylan back home for a spell from her spell book. Dylan and Sophie go to her room and discover the book is missing. Marnie and Aggie learn that Cal is actually a warlock and the son of their enemy, Kalabar. They learn that Cal stole Aggie's spellbook to limit her ability to hinder his attempt to complete his father's revenge on both Halloweentown and the mortal world. Aggie searches for a spare copy of her spellbook back at her house in Halloweentown, but it's missing and she is very upset. As Aggie and Marnie discuss what they're going to do and how to get out of the situation, Marnie inadvertently reverts Luke back to his goblin form with something she says, some kind of spell. Unable to explain the spell's reversal, the group soon believes that it is temporary. The trio travel to the lair of the well-known junk magnet of the universe, Gort, who acquires lost items from both realms. He had been discolored by the Gray Spell and sold most of his junk. The group becomes trapped in Gort's house. Aggie loses her color as well and sorts through missing socks with Gort. Marnie uses time travel to go back to Gort's house before the Gray Spell happened. When Marnie and Luke arrive, they learn that Gort had sold the spare book to Kalabar about 50 years prior. By remembering what things Marnie had hastily been saying back when Luke returned to his normal goblin form, they realize that the Gray Spell can be reverted by saying Trappa, which is apart, spelled backwards. After casting a spell over Halloweentown, Cal is now hard at work casting a spell over the mortal world, changing it into a monster caricature of Halloweentown. Sophie and Dylan realize that Alex, believed to be Cal's father, is actually a golem intended to distract their mother Gwen at a Halloween party. Cal puts the spell into effect, turning the party guests into monsters that they are dressed as, resulting in chaos. Dylan and Sophie hide from the monster humans, including their mother. Though Marnie is able to free Aggie, they are too late and the portal to the mortal world is closed, trapping them in Halloweentown. Marnie refuses to accept that they are locked in, so she contacts her siblings and they develop a new spell that forces the portal between Halloweentown and the mortal world to reopen permanently. Cal angrily confronts Marnie, who mocks him and demands the spellbook. Cal produces slimy living serpent vines of dark magic or whatever and uses them to take both spellbooks in an attempt to prove his own superiority, which fails when Marnie takes them from him. Cal is sent away by the vines and the family breaks a spell in the mortal world and back in Halloweentown. Cal will return for his revenge. Alright, so let's get into some trivia. The Sanderson sister costumes from Hocus Pocus were recycled in this film and can be seen on 3 actresses at the end of the film when the gray spell breaks. And you know what? I always thought those costumes looked familiar. I thought it was just like a reference to Hocus Pocus or something. But now that I know that, like, they just recycled the costumes, like, that makes more sense. I guess. I mean, it was, let's see, this one came out, I think, in, like, 2000, because the first one came out in 98. Yeah, because it's 2 years later, so 2000. It was like 7 years after, so they had those costumes just lying around for like 7 years, and they just decided to, hey, let's just throw them on somebody. They could be these witches in the end, and honestly, it kind of works towards being like a kind of a connection between them two, I guess. The witch's mask worn by Judith Hugg gives nod to the witch's mask in Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, from Silver Shamrock, the fictional company within the movie. And honestly, when I found that out, I was like, you know what? It's another one of those things that it's just like, it just clicked and was like, that makes a lot of sense, because it does really look like the witch's mask from that movie. And that movie is one of my favorite Halloween movies. I don't mean like, well, I mean movies to watch on Halloween, but also like in the series Halloween, it's one of my favorites, because it's just so different from the other ones, and you can kind of see what John Carpenter kind of wanted to do, but also, like, it's just so great to just, like, watch, and it's just, I love that film. And I did a whole thing about it in when I reviewed the Halloween series, so go back and check those episodes out. That was in the first part, but in that first part, we talk about the first 2 and then the third one. But getting back to this, I just love that, like, they just decided to, hey, let's throw in this little nod to Halloween 3. And most people wouldn't get it. And, I mean, it wasn't until years later, obviously, that it finally clicked for me. After Halloweentown, the budget for this movie and the sequels were drastically better than the first movie when comparing the creatures in Halloweentown and the costume effects. In that first film, the creatures, quote unquote, were just like humans with facial makeup, and you can tell like where the makeup ended and the natural face began. However, in this one, and a good portion of the creatures in both the human world and the humans, they're turned into creatures, and the creatures in Halloweentown that were turned into regular people, and then they take it switch back and everything. They're like full body. They're not just a face. There are some things too that they threw in, which I thought was a little ridiculous. Like, there's like a juggler person or something. There's like more than just like, there's like carnival folk people, whatever. That's a little dumb to me. Whatever. But I do, yeah, like I do like that they decided to, you know, hey, you guys, let's give you guys a bigger budget. Let's make sure these guys got, like, the creature effects, the makeup effects look a lot better. And then you can just tell, like, it's just a step up. Just the sets, too, like, where they're going, what they're doing. Just way more than what they had for that first film. And you can tell that they probably, you know, they did see, you know, return from under wraps. So they knew, like, okay, so this is going to do pretty good. But they were still probably being cautious. And then when this one did really well, they were like, yeah, let's just kind of go a little bit more all out. Like, you can tell, like, with Luke's design, too, like, they upgraded him. They made him, like, crazier. And then, like, just some of the other creatures. I like the effect that they do with the mom. It's creepy. And then just, like, some of the other, like, there's, like, a fly guy, a bald doctor guy, a one-eyed, like, Cyclops guy. So they do a pretty good job for what they have. So something very interesting. In June of 2022, Kimberly J. Brown, who played Marnie, and Danielle Counts, who played Cal, got engaged. So I remember hearing about this because I think a while back they hadn't seen each other for the longest time, and I think they met up again and they like started talking and getting to know each other again, catching up or whatever, and I know that they started going out. But it's just kind of crazy that Marnie did end up with Cal in the end, and I would honestly love to see like a film where like he comes back and like they have to deal with him or something, because he just kind of disappears at the end of this, and I'm just going to spoil it right now for everybody. We don't get to the conclusion to that. I think having a third one, I'm going to get into my final thoughts, but having a third one that kind of does a little bit different and something a little bit different works, but I'll address it later. So, without further ado, let's move on to Halloweentown High.
If you're a monster,
You're a big pink furry troll.
the gang from Halloweentown is back.
Need I remind you? I'm a witch.
Why?
And homework is the least of their worries.
I pity the knight that has to tussle with you.
Kimberly J. Brown
Watch over Jillian!
and Debbie Reynolds star in
Happy Halloween!
Halloweentown High, tomorrow at 8/7 Central on Disney Channel.
1 year after the previous events, Marnie prepares to begin a new school year. She asks the Halloweentown Council to work toward openness between Halloweentown and the mortal world, since they now have an open relationship, since the portal is no longer just open during Halloween. She proposes bringing a group of Halloweentown students to her own high school in the mortal world. The council is initially apprehensive, mostly due to the legend of the Knights of the Iron Dagger, a fanatical order of knights who wanted to destroy all things magical. The Halloweentown High Council, however, agrees to accept the plan after Marnie mistakenly bets all the Cromwell magic that her plan will work. If she does not prove she is right by midnight on Halloween, then her entire family will lose their magical abilities. Marnie, now regretting what she'd said to the council, wants to cancel the program she made, but her grandmother Aggie opposes, saying that they have nothing to fear. The Halloweentown students arrive and are magically given human appearances to disguise their true non-human natures. School begins with Marnie acting as the tour guide for the exchange group, claiming they are from Canada. Aggie substitute teaches so she can be available in case of anything that they need. And Cody, who is played by Finn Whitrock, a new student, shows a romantic interest in Marnie. While Aggie proves unable to teach any subject effectively, the Halloweentown students keep to themselves, hiding in the refuge that Aggie magically created for them in a student's locker, and it's a way for them to get away from everyone. Marnie gradually encourages the students to join sports teams, go to school activities, make new friends. Marnie's progress is interrupted by a warning that appears from the Knights of the Iron Dagger, then by a magical incident at the mall that results in the Halloweentown students assuming their natural appearances in public. This is followed by a break-in at the secret magical locker and the disappearance of one of their own, Cassie. Meanwhile, Marnie's developing relationship with Cody parallels an unexpected romance between Aggie and the school's principal, Phil Flanagan, played by Clifton Davis. Aggie suspects Cody of being the cause of the trouble and tries to convince Marnie to halt the relationship, but Marnie in turn suspects Flanagan. They eventually discover that Flanagan is the knight in question. He was told prior to the students' arrival that he was the last of his order. Edgar Dalloway, played by Michael Flynn, head of the Witches' Council and father of Ethan, one of the students, is the real root of their problems. Ethan is played by Lucas Graybill. He wants to keep Halloweentown isolated from the mortal world, and used Flanagan to ensure that Marnie's project would fail. This, he hoped, would cause such a negative reaction in Halloweentown and keep the portal between them closed indefinitely. The Halloweentown students use the school's Halloween carnival to improve mortal attitudes towards, the magical folk. Their haunted house idea depicts the ordinary lives of creatures that have typically been seen as monsters to us here in the mortal world, which includes displays like the Monster Tea Party and ogres picnicking in their natural setting, which winds up boring most of the carnival goers. Meanwhile, Marnie's mother, Gwen, uses a witch's glass to hunt down Cassie. At the school carnival, Dalloway launches magical attacks against the mortal students by bringing the inanimate monsters in the haunted house to life. The ensuing panic spirals between Marnie's and Eggy's ability to contain the monsters. Flanagan incites a mob to corner the Halloweentown students. Cody tames the crowd. The students reveal themselves, and the crowd accepts them for who they are. Flanagan also renounces being a knight and accepts Aggie. Dalloway claims the Cromwell magic and explains that his son Ethan helped with most of the things that happened. But Gwen has shown the evening's events to the Halloweentown High Council. They return the Cromwell magic. Gwen returns with the imprisoned student, and the council imprisons Dalloway in another witch's glass, taking his disagreement with them as a form of resignation and taking the family's magic. The portal between Halloweentown and the mortal world opens inside the haunted house, and crowds of children from Halloweentown cross over to enjoy the carnival together with children in the mortal world. Marnie flies off for a romantic broom ride with Cody. While flying over the carnival, they kiss. Let's just get into some of the quick trivia we got for this one. After the previous installment received criticism for being too dark in tone, this one was made to be more family friendly. And you can kind of tell. Like, there's more, like, goofier moments, more moments where you're supposed to, like, chuckle and laugh. And, yeah, it is a lot lighter, especially being more here in the mortal world, less showing Halloweentown. Like, we don't even go to Halloweentown. There's a point where, like, she goes to, like, the Witches Council, but I think that's in, like, some, like, pocket dimension. I don't even know. Getting into some weird, like, fantastical, like, universe that Halloweentown exists in. But, yeah, like, it, like, even, like, some of the monsters, like, they try and make them, like, nicer and friendlier. Even, like, the ogres and the, I don't know, I guess there's, like, a troll. They're less scary. I think the only dark thing is, like, maybe, like, stuff with, like, the knights in the beginning. They kind of make that kind of seem like it's going to be an ominous thing, like, and it is kind of like a cloud over the like good part of the film. But it turns out that that's just like a kind of like a red herring. He's there to, like, intercede with things, but he's not the main antagonist. Ethan mentions that he's always wanted to be in a play. Lucas Grabeel, who plays Ethan, is also the star of a High School Musical film series, movies where his character stars in most high school plays. And I'm pretty sure High School Musical is a DCOM, and it went on to have its own series, High School Musical 2, and then the third one was a theatrical. Like, it got pretty big to where it had, and then they even had a spin-off, I think Sharpay or something. I only know so much about it. I never watched it. I never cared for any of that. I just know, like, from certain things. But yeah, like, that is kind of like there's a lot of crossover between this and that. So this is the only film in the franchise that isn't set at any point in Halloweentown, like I said. Yeah, like, it's kind of crazy that, like, a film called Halloweentown, or has that in its name, isn't even set in, like, that place. But also, I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be, like, a backdoor pilot for a series. That's why I think they went with Halloweentown High, so that they can continue, like, let's continue the adventures of these magical creatures who are now having to be in the mortal world, and how they're dealing with it, and with, like, Marnie and all this stuff, and how she's dealing with it. And I could have sworn that I saw that somewhere. I tried looking it up. I couldn't find anything definitive about it, but I've heard that before, that because there's sometimes they do that where they'll have like a either in one show they'll have an episode that's dedicated to like another character, and it's meant to be like, oh, like we're testing out to see if this if people like this character. They did that like Happy Days. One spinoff is Mork and Mindy, where Robin Williams plays an alien who comes to Earth. He's Mork from Ork, and that got its own spinoff. I know it's like a weird like thing to reference. It's really old. Okay, like let me think of Friends. Friends is a spinoff of Mad About You, because in Mad About You, they meet Ursula, who is Phoebe's sister, her identical twin sister, and we learn that in Friends that's Phoebe's twin sister. So it was a spin-off of that show. They do that a lot. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll do this where they'll make like a mini series, or they'll do like a standalone, like a film or something. Like they tried to do that they tried to reboot the Munsters on NBC a while back. Not like the Munsters that Rob Zombie did just recently, but this was called like Mockingbird Lane or something. It was like a special that they did on NBC, and it was to test to see if like, oh, are people interested in this? Oh, they're not. Okay, then we won't greenlight a series about it. But that's something that they usually do, and I thought that's what they were trying to do with this. And honestly, I would have watched it. I would have watched more of Halloweentown High, but we never got that. And from here, we move on to the dreaded return to Halloweentown.
Enjoy your stay in Halloweentown.
Opening Friday, October 20th, heading to a new school spells trouble for Marnie Piper.
I'm 18 now. I'm going to witch you.
Presenting Return to Halloweentown, a Disney Channel original movie featuring High School Musical's Lucas Grabeel, Sarah Paxton, and J. Paul Zimmerman.
I have powers nobody else has. Powers I haven't even discovered yet.
Powers that will grow with college in Halloweentown.
With all that power comes responsibility, Marnie. You stole that from Spider-Man.
And now, finally, the change she's longed for has arrived.
I want to extend to you a full scholarship. We would be proud to have a Cromwell at Witch University.
Witch University is a whole new world.
I want to go to a real college.
A dangerous world.
Marnie Piper is a Cromwell of the prophecy.
When she finds herself the key to a sinister conspiracy.
They're plotting to use your magic to make slaves out of all the other creatures.
Now, she can trust no one.
Marnie, not all magic is good magic. There are dark forces at work in Halloweentown.
You don't have the power to control me, do you?
Hidden clues will be unearthed.
S. Cromwell?
As a young witch travels through time to understand her family's dark past.
Aviatus.
And her own destiny.
Embrace your gift, and Halloweentown will continue to exist in peace.
Get ready for more Disney Channel original magic.
Did you just use the M word?
Unlock the ultimate secret.
Soon, we will rule Halloweentown.
Return to Halloweentown, a Disney Channel original movie premiering Friday, October 20th at 8, 7 Central.
1 year after the events of the previous film, a now 18-year-old Marnie, which she's now played by Sarah Paxton, is offered a full scholarship to Halloweentown's Witch University for her good deeds and help in the previous years. Much to her mother Gwen's dismay, Marnie decides to forego her original college plans and instead attend the Halloweentown school. Gwen forces Marnie's brother Dylan to accompany her and keep an eye on her. The school is not what it seems, as witches and warlocks can't use magic. Instead, they learn about like Shakespeare and magic history and all that kind of stuff. But that's not what Marnie had thought she'd be learning about, and she'd be learning to use her magic more, and is just sad about it. Dylan and Gwen are continued to be played by Joey Zimmerman and Judith Haug, respectfully. Marnie runs into her old friend Ethan, still played by Lucas Grabeel, and makes a new friend named Anissa the Genie, played by Summer Bichel. She also makes 3 new enemies, and the Sinister Sisters. They are Scarlet, Sapphire, and Sage. They are a triad of malevolent and extremely snobby, spoiled, and manipulative witches. They are played by Christy Wu, Kelly Cockrell, and Katie Cockrell, respectfully, and they are the daughters of Silas Sinister, who is played by Keon Young. Dylan is immediately infatuated by the three sisters. Marnie discovers that she is responsible for the university's restriction of magic. The university was originally established exclusively for warlocks and witches, and was so that they could learn to use their magic and progress with that. But when she happened to open the portal between Halloweentown and the human world, and it stayed open permanently instead of just on Halloween, most of them went to the college in the mortal realm. So since then, the witch university has allowed other magical creatures to attend, and now the classes are boring for Marnie until she discovers within the dungeon of the college a box with the name S. Cromwell inscribed on it, magically appearing in front of her. However, the box is locked and has no key with it. Marnie meets with one of her professors, Miss Periwinkle, who's played by Millicent Martin, and asks her an explanation. Periwinkle only tells Marnie that the S stands for Splendora, and that she and her were good friends. Marnie and Dylan learn that the box contains the gift, a magical power only a Cromwell can use, which Splendora locked in the box centuries ago. Meanwhile, the Sinister Sisters use Dylan's infatuation with them to make him do their homework, and they use him as bait for Marnie. Later, Ethan tells Marnie about a mysterious group his father was a part of, known as the Dominion, and that they will try to use Marnie to open the box, but Marnie doesn't believe him. Marnie travels to the past to meet with Splendora, and she learns the true nature of the gift. Splendora explains that the gift is an amulet that bestows the wearer with the power to control anyone, a power that witches are forbidden to use. Marnie realizes that her principal and Dr. Grog are in the Dominion, and Splendora bestows upon her the key to the box containing the gift. Splendora is revealed to be Marnie's grandmother, Aggie. Agatha is her middle name, and she hates the Splendora part, so she eventually dropped it. Marnie returns to the present with the key to open the box. Chancellor Goodwin steals the gift for the Dominion and the Sinisters so that they can take over Halloweentown. Knowing that only a Cromwell can use the gift, the Sinister Sisters transform Dylan into a border collie to compel Marnie to comply with their demands. If Dylan is not turned back at midnight, he will stay that way forever. They agree to return him to his natural form if Marnie controls Halloweentown for them. Marnie falsely agrees to aid them with their plot, initially using the gift to control the people at Witch University. However, she turns on them once she has Anissa trap the gift in her lamp. With the gift trapped in the lamp, Marnie, Dylan, Gwen, and Anissa destroy the lamp, which destroys the gift. The Dominion attempt to escape, but are apprehended by Periwinkle, who is revealed to have been undercover for 10 centuries as a detective of the Halloweentown Anti-Dominion League. She imprisons them in Witch's Glass, where she has stripped them of their magic and arrests them for treason. The malevolent Sinister Sisters lose their powers as well, but Marnie learns that Ethan willingly gave his powers up after his dad was found guilty in the previous film. Marnie and Ethan begin a new relationship and leave on a date. The movie ends when Dylan discovers that Marnie did not destroy the gift, but instead left it for him in a book. Since spells cast on the grounds of Witch University become permanent at midnight, the gift belongs to him, as he is the only person Marnie trusts with its power. Saving the power of the gift for important uses only, he puts the book away and it shows a glowing red S at the end of the film. Alright, so let's get into a little bit of trivia before we get into my final thoughts. So for reasons that are still not really clear, Sarah Paxton replaced Kimberly J. Brown as Marnie in the film, despite Brown being fully available for the shoot. Brown has publicly stated her disappointment with the recasting, and you know what? I'm disappointed too. I've never watched this movie based on just, Sarah Paxton's a fine actress. I've seen her in, if you want to see a movie where she's really good, it's Innkeepers. That's a really good film. It's like a ghost movie, but there really isn't any like ghosts in it. It's all about atmosphere. It's a really good movie. I need to do it on here. I have a review of it. But anyways, so to get back, I always wanted to watch this because I would love to see it. I always love seeing sequels to the Halloweentown series, but when it first came out, learning that they replaced Kimberly J. Brown with Sarah Paxton, it's upsetting because, like, Kimberly J. Brown is Marnie. Like, I don't understand why you would replace her. Like, of all the people to replace, like, why her? It didn't really make any sense. And at the same time, like, it's not like Sarah Paxton was, like, this bigger star. Like, she was not really well known either, or like not well known. It's just that I think she was been as known as Kimberly J. Brown. It's just very upsetting, and the fact that you kept literally everyone else and you got rid of the main star is ridiculous. I know most people are with me on this, but this is probably the least favorite of everyone's, and I'll get into it when I get into my final thoughts, and I'll probably rank them at the very end. Even though I haven't seen this one, I'm still going to rank it. But, yeah. Melissa Martin was originally cast to replace Debbie Reynolds as Agatha Cromwell due to scheduling conflicts. When Reynolds' schedule cleared up, she was able to return. Martin's role was reworked into a new character, which is kind of weird, too, because like, she's supposed to be friends with her, but they look exactly alike. It's so weird. Because, I remember seeing, like, at least that. I haven't seen this whole movie, but I know I've seen parts of, like, here and there when they were, like, doing some of the behind the scenes, especially because that's what they used to do with some of these promos that they used to do. That, like, to kind of, well, obviously promos to promote the film. And I always thought, like, oh, so is she replacing her or not? Like, but then I guess she's also, Debbie Reynolds is in it. I don't know. I always thought it was kind of dumb because she looks just like her, but then she's supposed to be like her friend or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird, and I don't know if I like it. So during the scene in which Marnie attempts to magically open the box, a couple references are made to other famous witches in cinema. She twitches her nose, as seen in Bewitched. She cocks her head, as in I Dream of Jeannie. Coincidentally, Debbie Reynolds was close friends with Agnes Moorehead, who starred on Bewitched as the magical grandmother. And I think that's pretty cool. Like, this idea of, like, referencing, like, all the, like, witches that come before you. Pretty nice little thing to keep in, to put in there and to kind of reference. I mean, it does suck that it's in this film. I wish we would have seen some references in some of the other films, but you get what you get. And now it's time for my final thoughts on these series of films, and also I'll kind of rank them a little bit. So let's just get straight into it. I remember the advertising for the premiere of the first Halloweentown. They went into the background characters and showed how they dressed up the real town to look like it felt like a real place. And I always loved that it really seemed like a world you'd want to visit. Halloweentown is a great film and a standout for the DCOMs. The cast is pretty good. Kimberly J. Brown and Debbie Reynolds are standouts. And I always loved how campy, like, the side characters can be in every interaction. A huge standout is the art direction, obviously. The huge jack-o'-lantern was always amazing to see. Like, you just get that Halloween, that great Halloween feel every time you see it. And the town was gifted it, and they bring it out every Halloween, which is amazing. I think that's awesome. I want to go visit sometime. The costumes are great, from the hairstylist werewolf to the scarecrow-like face of the shadow creature. The film fills me with so much nostalgia, but I can see it still has some like basic kids, like, made for TV stuff. But still, some lines are delivered a little wonky. And there are budget limitations with some set pieces, but overall, this movie really makes you feel like Halloween is cool. Now on to Halloweentown 2, Kalabar's Revenge. This is a darker, more older take on the first film's premise. Seeing the characters back is great. Once again, Brown and Reynolds stand out. And I think having Joey Zimmerman's character, Dylan, actually come around to the magical world and try to help instead of just hinder by complaining is a boost from the first film. The budget was a step up from the first film, and you can see that in the switching from not just Halloweentown and the mortal world, but also the time travel that they do. The creature designs also are standout. When Cal changes the mortals into the costumes that they're wearing, the makeup and costuming do a great job for DCOM. I love when, the mom, the mask turns her into one of those, like, I don't know, it's a witch, I guess, because, it's supposed to be a reference to Halloween 3, I guess. And she, that really turned, that looks pretty good right there. There's some, fly guy and some big-headed doctor or something, I don't know. I know there's, a cyclops or something. But, they do a pretty good job with what they got. Overall, it's another hit of nostalgia, just like the first film, and really gets you into the mood for, that spooky season. Halloweentown High is a change of pace that the series, I think, kind of needed. If they would have just done, another Kalabar comes back or something, it probably wouldn't have worked. It probably would have been a little repetitive. After the end of the last film, we needed to see the fallout, having the worlds be unlocked from each other, because one thing you can say is these movies do stay consistent with each other, and I think that really shows in that Joey Zimmerman has come along from the first film. He has a larger part to play and a semi-love interest, as well as we get to see Marnie step up and start taking the reins from her mother and grandmother. I may be reading into a little bit more than it needs to for a kids movie, but with her being the spearhead for the exchange students and talking with the council, I think you can see hers. I think if they had gone a certain way, she would have been the next one to step up for the family, for the Cromwells, and whatever their other last name is, Piper, I guess. I do also like that we have a new villain rather than just more of Kalabar's kid, and including, and I like that it's, it is still someone from Halloweentown, but they've got also someone from the mortal world with the principal, and letting him know, your lineage of the knights or whatever, kind of, helps too. Again, like I said, this movie is, I remember when this came out, I think this film, it's not as great as the other ones. It's still good, but I think the other two are more standout-ish. I think that if this really was a backdoor pilot, or trying to be a backdoor pilot, it works. I really would have loved to have seen a series that was Halloweentown High, and the continued adventure of maybe bringing in more people from Halloweentown, seeing what them going back to Halloweentown with some of these mortal kids, and just how they would have interacted. And maybe you could have played off of the whole thing of how time works differently there too, and maybe you could have had something where they meet a kid from Halloweentown, and then he goes back home for I don't know, maybe a month or the summer, and he comes back and he's an old man or something. I don't know. You could have done something pretty cool with it. But Halloweentown High is still a great one, right? The first three Halloweentowns are amazing. They're nostalgia filled for people. Obviously for me, who's a Gen or millennial, I guess. So seeing these all the time during Halloween is chef's kiss. So good. So now we move on to Return to Halloweentown, and I'm gonna tell you right now. I said it earlier. I've never seen this one all the way through. I think I've watched parts of it from people reviewing it. I've seen some promos that they did, but other than that, this one, honestly, I never really wanted to watch. like I said, I don't like that they replaced Kimberly J. Brown. Not that she's like the greatest actress ever and like she can't be replaced or anything. It's the fact that like no, she embodied the character. She played her for 3 films, and like the weird thing is that you like kept everyone else. You literally kept everyone else except for her, and you don't give a reason why. There's no like. I think you were trying to do something with Sarah Paxton, but at the end of the day, I think it just falls flat. It just seems like you're getting to that tail end of like the good DCOMs. This was when it was like Twitches and things like that. I know Twitches was a little earlier, but you know what I mean? Like this was like it was getting towards like when you get to like Girl versus Monster. That one's ridiculous. Don't even watch it. It's not that good. But yeah, there's just so much about this that I mean, I can't really talk about it because I've never even seen it. I just read it right now, and I didn't even know that was really the whole plot. I knew it was the whole thing about, like, her going back and, like, talking with her grandma when she was a kid, but I don't know. It's just that film, I never really wanted to watch it. So, it's just, to me, it's just never been good. And I know, like, I don't like to review films that I don't like, but because it was part of the series, it's kind of like the Halloween 2, where it's like I have to because it's part of the series. But other than that, guys, this film, I don't know. I just put it a thumbs down. And if I were to like rank these, I'd say maybe I'd probably put maybe Halloweentown 2. No, sorry. We're going to start at the bottom. Return to Halloweentown is the worst. Then I'd probably put, that's like far below all of them. Like way. Then maybe Halloweentown High. Then Halloweentown. And then Halloweentown 2, Kalabar's Revenge. Just because I love that, like, they got a little bit darker, and I wish they would have just kept. I do like that they gave us a change of pace with the third film with Halloweentown High. You know, something different, something new. But I wish, like, after that with Return to Halloweentown, I wish they would have like done something with Kalabar or Cal or whatever, like bring him back or something. Do something with them. Like, you kind of set it up like he was going to come back and, like, be a big bad later. You could have done something, but they didn't. So, which Halloweentown is your favorite? Why is it not Return to Halloweentown? Do you prefer Kimberly J. Brown over Sarah Paxton? Is Halloween cool? That one was rhetorical. Please, if you like what you hear, subscribe to get every new episode downloaded. Do you have any strange, mysterious, or unexplained stories? Are they true? Did you craft a story yourself? We'd love to read your stories, and you can email them to horrorboxpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to post these stories on our socials, on Instagram, Threads, or TikTok @horrorboxpodcast, where we also have updates and news. One last thing. If you like the podcast and would like to support the podcast, buy me a coffee. You can buy me a coffee at coffee.com/horrorboxpodcast. It would really help out. We'll see you next time and hear what comes out from the horror box.